Okay, this is my songwriting vlog, 18th of September 2023. Today I decided to just do one blog a day instead of two because I missed yesterday, and I thought it's better to be consistent with doing one thing than it is to just try and do multiple things before I've even got any momentum. So it's basically it's a songwriting blog still, but I want to do like an hour's work on my album and then an hour's work on like a project, like doing the website or something. Because I've heard from different mentors like Dan Coe that's a good way to do just like 1 hour at a time on a project. I was actually getting overwhelmed in the last few weeks and not doing any work on anything. And so this is why I just thought, let me just try this thing about doing an hour a day, because an hour a day, a lot added up over time, you get momentum. And anyway, I'll go through the 3 lessons today that I wrote down. So today I did 1 hour songwriting, 1 hour on the album, and 1 hour on a marketing project. Lesson number 1: I once again checked the internet before starting, which caused distraction. This is a deeply ingrained habit that I have to let go of because there is always something distracting. E.g. today with Russell Brand stuff in the news, but there's always something distracting. And it's like I'm fooling myself by saying I'm only checking one thing, because it's never one check. It's always like, oh, there's something else, and I'll just respond to that message quickly, and then I think you get attention residue from that. And the second lesson: during the songwriting session, I noticed that as I went through the songs, I did a bit on each song, and then my sort of willpower inspiration ran out, and then I moved on to the next one. So that's why I think it's good for me to have a few songs to work on. But also, if you have 0 songs, if I ever get into a place when I have 0 songs, a good thing to do would just be to play the guitar. Just sort of maintain that hour where you're just kind of playing it, maybe over old songs or maybe just messing around. But I think it's important to keep that habit going, because it's the habit that is like the basis for that songwriting session. In order to get over lesson number 3, in order to get over my overwhelm at doing work on my album and other projects, I just committed to doing some basic planning work in Notion, and this is what you're looking at here. This is an app called Notion. It's the other one that I use is called OmniFocus, right? But that is a bit more, I find this is like a bit better for kind of putting down your tasks of like the just kind of to-dos, the shallow type work, whereas Notion is a bit more for creative work, and I've been doing it recently. And so what I was committing to really was just, I'm sick of having this feeling of overwhelm for all these different projects, and that just means I never start, because every time I start I feel like I have to get something done. And a lot of these things, they just take a long time, and I was just putting too much pressure on myself. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to use Notion to plan it a bit. So like, there you go. I got like songwriting. When I do my hour songwriting, I can there's all my songs for that, and then there's my album, which I do in the second hour, and then I got like all these marketing projects. But I just spent an hour on that and an hour on that, and I actually made quite a bit of progress, even though I went into it thinking I'm just going to do a bit of planning. So that's why I think if you're getting overwhelmed, if I'm getting overwhelmed, just be like, I'm just going to do a bit of planning in using an app. I think it's good to get these apps, because then as you're planning, you're learning the app as well, even if you don't get that much done. So I was just kind of learning how to use the app, and I was going over like the album, like the songs that I've got there, and then what stage they're all in, and what is the best thing to do, what is like the number 1 priority, stuff like that, and then what is the next task. And like, I think after about half an hour of just going through the planning stage, I actually started to upload songs, and I think by the end of the hour I'd actually got some files into Agenda 21, and I'd actually started listening to it. So I know for tomorrow, when I do my hour, I'm going to have a drip feed of of today, bleeding into tomorrow, and then that is going to keep the momentum going slowly. And I'm not saying I cannot work on that again today, but I think it's important for me to have this momentum going day to day, because otherwise you just do a burst of work and then once it's finished, you go back to your default state of doing nothing. And that's not the way I really like living long term. Just always like making a little progress every day. So there you go. And I made a little bit of progress on setting up podcasts, which didn't take too long. All right, so have I got anything else to say there? Yeah, I feel great now because I've done what I said, even though I didn't do that much. And I realise I control the parameters of what makes me feel good. So just like saying to myself, I'm going to do 4 hours work, and then doing 4 hours work, I feel much better than I do on a normal day, where I just kind of let the procrastination overwhelm take over. Okay, that's it for today. Cheers.